When you were saying about people having an understanding on the undertaking of this, and that the departments are, I think, January 30th, going to have that presentation, but the public can't ask the question, are you going to set a standard, or is Nick going to work with them to set a standard so that it's uniformly presented to the public, so that people can basically hear from each department similar information?
I think that Michael Lenz is head of the finance committee. I think he's going to do that.
Okay. Okay.
We'll certainly assist him if he wants us to, but I think they're going to establish that. The finance committee will establish that.
Okay. Last spring, this is another thing that came up from one of the readers, was about, I guess, that whole series of announced cuts that occurred around the time before the last election in spring with the police department. What happened with that, and where are we now? Well, without getting into the negotiations,
we had planned to affect some layoffs and some demotions, and the timing couldn't have been worse. You know, we were going through change in mayors. Actually, I think the day that the layoffs were supposed to go into effect, the mayor was arrested, and I couldn't put them into effect on that day. It just, you know, I didn't know who was coming in and where we were going, and the timing just couldn't have been worse. And that's what really made us unable to do that at that time.
Okay.
We were really leaderless.
Right. How do you see the future of? I guess there's a big problem in terms of, like, there's always a division in a community between how they look at their police and fire, and the cost. And New Jersey historically has higher costs, and how to manage that cost when the city doesn't really maintain management over the internal controls and the union rules about the pecking order. So, for example, a lot of people feel, for example, that the police and fire might be top-heavy. And the fire's addressed this, I think, somewhat. The police, we haven't really gotten to, yet it's really maintained and controlled by the unions. Well, can you speak to that? Because I think people really need to understand this.
We have been working for a long time now, and as I said, you know, I had a gentleman here that was with me on a temporary basis analyzing the police table of organization. I have also worked with Public Safety Director Alicea in developing a new table of organization. That has been looked at very closely, because we have heard the complaints about it being top-heavy. That is still my feeling, and it is still my recommendation to make adjustments according to that. You know, unfortunately, things work very slowly in government. When Mayor Zimmer first came in, we had thousands of things to tackle. I mean, I'm frustrated because I like to get things done, and I'm frustrated we haven't tackled this. This will be tackled. There's no doubt about it. There is the potential for adjustments, as we need to do through the civil service system, however they may be. I don't want to say the L word, but you know, we may have to make adjustments accordingly.
Okay.
But all these things are time consuming. We're trying to bring in some specialists to help us with the civil service. It's a nightmare to get through that. I know enough knowledge. I have enough knowledge to be dangerous, but we need an expert to help us with that, and we're pursuing that. And there's so many things, so many cost drivers, such as labor costs, that we are trying to wrap our arms around, and we will.
Okay. I don't want to go too much deeper into this because, you know, we set some fair ground rules ahead. But I did want to ask specifically about medical benefits, which, you know, you talked about the high percentage in cost. And a little bit of experience on that side tells me that driving, you know, higher in and out of network costs, where the user actually feels some responsibility, actually can produce huge savings, where, you know, typically the government, and you know from your decades of experience, they don't really, they're not incented to really think about how they use, you know, these options. So in-network, physicians can drive huge savings versus out of network. And can you talk a little bit about that without going into the specifics?
Yeah, it's no secret. I mean, it's out there publicly. For the most part, particularly in our unions, our police and fire, the police had the traditional form of insurance. That is the most expensive. My goal, and the goal of the negotiating team, is to eliminate that. In fact, the traditional plan of healthcare is becoming a dinosaur in New Jersey. So we are working, and I think we're going to be very successful in doing away with the traditional traditional healthcare, and moving towards something that mirrors the state direct access plan. We have done a tremendous amount of research, and we've had our our plan administrators in here many times, and we even researched individual employees, what doctors they use, and every single one of them are an in-network provider. And the cost will be not only significantly lower to the employer, us, but there'll be tremendous savings for the employee. If you have small children, you can take them, and it's only, I think, a $10 copay, whereas when they had the traditional, there was some real 80-20, cost out of pocket. So this is a win-win for everyone.
Okay.
And then that's where we're going on that. And as I said before, as the traditional plan is going up 20% this year.
Right.
Now, so is the direct access, but the direct access is at a much lower cost.
Lower base. Okay.
So that's where we're going.
Okay. And last, I just wanted to ask you, we've covered a lot of ground here. I think that there's been a lot of issues that will be cleared up. Is there anything that we haven't really covered today, or anything that you really want to say directly to the Hoboken community?
I just want to reiterate, I am extremely optimistic about this city's future. This is a little rough year. It's not as bad as last year, but we still have some issues to overcome, some ghosts of what I call ghosts of Christmas past that we're addressing. We have payments for the next couple of years we have to make for that early buyout, the package to give to the employees. We'll have a few years we have to address that $4.2 million. But again, it'll be in smaller increments than in one lump sum. And our surplus is scheduled to be up next year. And a lot of good things are happening, coupled with some increased ratables over the year. I see no reason why the city shouldn't be, completely fiscally stable, and just being very prosperous.
Okay. But Judy, thank you very much for having Mall Square View today.